Oh, how things have changed since the Braves and Mets last met in May, and their showdown beginning Monday night at Truist Park figures to be must see. This is Battery Power TV. Cory McCartney, along with Graham McAuley, just 1.5 games separate the Braves and Mets in the National League East. Go back to June 1st. That deficit was 10.5 games, but Atlanta has gone 29.8 to give it a chance to end this series, Grant, atop the division.
Yeah, it's been quite the run for the Braves and much more like the team we expected to see when the club broke camp back in April. And this is what the Braves, I think, have been looking forward to, is that next opportunity to meet the first place Mets. But keep in mind, opportunities, there are a lot of them. They're all important, but there are 15 head-to-head meetings between these two teams for the remainder of the season. But this, though, Corey, you're right, feels a lot different than when these two clubs tangled back up in early May, up in Flushing. The Braves were not at full strength there. I'm not sure that they're completely at full strength right now, but hey, the way that they've been playing has you feeling pretty well about how things are trending.
It's not as though the Mets have been bad while the Braves have been playing out of their minds. New York has gone 3 games above 500 at 19 and 16. It's just that since June 1st, the Braves have been, again, playing out of their minds. When they last met, the Braves offense was kind of middling. They were 13th at Fangraph 4, 16th in weighted run created plus. This past month and a half, nobody has been better in the NL in either category. Dansby Swanson was hitting just 226 ahead of that series at Citi Field back in May. 16% below league average. He's been the NL Fangraph WAR leader since June 1st. He's hitting 336 en route to his first All-Star nod. Austin Riley has been the game's best hitter these past 2 weeks, hitting almost 490. Michael Harris Jr. wasn't even part of the equation. Eddie Rosario wasn't back. Ozzie Albies injury certainly has taken, that's obviously something to fill there, but the Braves bats could not be rolling with more momentum than they are right now going into this series.
No, the play of Dansby Swanson, I think, has gotten everybody's attention since about the midway portion of May because he's really turned it on and made himself into a National League All-Star, and for good reason. But you brought up Austin Riley, whose last 2 weeks have him trending as one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball. He has also worn out the Mets. 12 home runs head-to-head against New York. That's tied for his most against any team. The other one, the Philadelphia Phillies. So a club you see quite a bit. Always good to beat up on your divisional rivals. But while these guys are hitting so well, and it is great to have the offensive role, the Braves pitching has been, I think, the foundation of their success, particularly beginning that 14-game winning streak and running right on through the month of July, where this group seems to be getting better and better. So the club that the Mets saw back in early May, it had pieces of what it could be for the Braves, and it had reminders at times of what this club could play like, but it just seemed like they couldn't string it all together. That has changed a lot because the Braves since June the 1st are 20 games over 500. So if you want to melt away 9 games in the standings, that's a pretty good way to do it.
So let's run through these pitching matchups. Max Scherzer against Max Fried on Monday, David Peterson and Spencer Strider on Tuesday, and then Charlie Morton and Chris Bassett in the series finale on Wednesday. That Max matchup obviously has some big fight feel to it, but what's the biggest one for you out of those 3?
I think it has to be the first one. And I would love to wait for the main event for it to be that finale. And it may come down to who wins the 3rd game to decide who wins that series. But when you have somebody with the pedigree of a Max Scherzer, multiple-time Cy Young winner who's making himself a Hall of Fame case and probably already has a pretty good one, and then you've got the emergence of Max Fried, the Braves ace, who has pitched like one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last 3 seasons. And these are the kind of games that Max Fried is going to get up for. These are the ones that you want your ace out there when you have to face the ace of the other club. Now, Spencer Strider's the sneaky matchup that I think everybody's going to have their eyes on because I don't know that there's been a more exciting Braves pitcher over the past month and a half than Spencer Strider. And the Braves' success coincides with moving him into the rotation with Michael Harris II coming up from Double-A Mississippi. Spencer's been all in the midst of what the Braves have been doing and the things that have gone so well. So that's going to be a good one. But when you do get to that finale, this Charlie Morton that we've seen the last month versus the Charlie Morton who was basically going start to start trying to figure things out over the first month and a half, that is going to be a much more intriguing matchup, I think, for the Braves. You've got 3 of your best starting pitchers lined up to face the opponent that you're chasing down in the East with a chance to take over first place. Things I don't think could line up better on paper for the Braves than it does with these pitching matchups.
So this one, I mean, that matchup is everything right there. Spencer Strider, he saw the Mets twice last year. Those were his only appearances in 2021. That was not the same Spencer Strider. And that's a Mets lineup that struggles against sliders, and we know how effective he is with that pitch. And then rolling into that series finale, Morton has a 1.60 ERA and 42 strikeouts to 8 walks in his last 4 outings. The Mets have hit a 516 OPS against him. Meanwhile, they have raked against Chris Bassett, 741 against him. Go back to that Strider matchup. They're 798 against David Peterson. So I think there's some opportunities here for them to kind of feast on. After you get through that Scherzer matchup, I think that's where offensively the Braves could really take advantage in this series.
They really could. And it's worth noting that Max Scherzer, while he does have that Hall of Fame resume, and you look up and down what he's done annually, he is one of the best pitchers in baseball and has been for quite some time, but just 10-9 in his career against the Braves with a 3.88 ERA. He's had some good starts. He has had some not so good starts against Atlanta, but he hasn't dominated that club the way that he has dominated most of baseball over the last decade or so. So that's something worth looking at. Is it going to make it any easier to face Max Scherzer? Probably not. I don't know too many things that are. But the fact that Max Fried has been rolling of late, you pretty much look for 7 strong innings out of him every time he goes out there. Spencer Strider routinely getting into the 6th inning. And oh, by the way, striking out 14 batters per 9 this year, the best mark of any pitcher with at least 65 innings thrown in all of baseball this year. And then you cap it off with the veteran Charlie Morton, who's looking a lot more like the pitcher the Braves expected. This lines up favorably for the Braves. The Peterson and Bassett matchups on the back end, it feels like the Braves offense ought to have, I think, a pretty good set of swings against those two pitchers, even if they have to go through Max Scherzer to get to the other side.
The NL East standings, though, could look very different come Thursday morning if the Braves work their way back to a chance to claim that top spot. Make sure you come along with the ride for us all season long here on Battery Power TV. Subscribe, hit that notification so you get an alert every time that we drop a new episode. And also, you can find myself and Grant Sunday nights on 92.9 The Game From the Diamond. So make sure you check us out there as well. Until next time, I'm Cory McCartney. He's Grant McAuley. We'll see you soon, Braves Country.